Hey guys, okay, so we did go for our walk. Let me fix this picture. We went for our walk, guys, as you guys can see in the prior clip, and we're going to do Bible study. And before we do Bible study, I'm just going to share a few more testimonies. Um, in a second, guys. Just had to grab the Bible. I'm just going to share a few more. I just had to kind of relax and calm down a little bit. And it looks much darker than it is, guys. That's okay. So I just want to share just a few more testimonies of ways that God has blessed me. Some of them. One day I'm just going to do more testimonies that I've never shared with you guys. Some of them I've already shared. One day I'm just going to do more of just testimonies. But I'll just give you guys a few that are more recent and that I can share because all of them I can't. And also, God is so good. Like I've shared before what God has done for many of you on here that's connected to the channel. Genuinely, people have written books. People have began their ministry. People have found the courage to continue on in God. People have found wisdom, good advice, strength. They've grown closer in their own relationship with God. They're beginning their blogs, their movies, just so many testimonies. People, I've seen so many people, even in my personal life and with the channel, that their lives have just completely turned around. Like they was in this season, I don't know what this is, might be swear or something. Oh well, I don't know. They was in this season and then got shifted and they got, in a totally new season. And I just see God do so many amazing things. I mean, it'll take me a long time to just give you guys all of the testimonies. So I just always, first of all, I always give God all the glory in advance because I know He gonna move. And then I celebrate with you guys, and just how God has blessed so many of you. Just the blessings, guys. It is so many praise reports and testimonies of how good God is. People got blessed with new cars. People got blessed with new vision, trips. Uh, it's so many blessings spiritually and physically that people are blessed with. So I'm just like, God is so good. So some of my testimonies that I can share with you guys that are more recent, I did share with you guys about my son when he was in school because when he first was born, I pretty much took care of him before I went back to work because I was always one used to working. So I was working and I was in school. But then when I was some months pregnant with him, I stopped and I began completely full-time school and working from home. Plus I was pregnant with him and stuff. So a couple months after I had him, I wanted to because the at home working from home thing just wasn't working for me with the company I was under. It just wasn't working with me. So I ended up, sorry guys, I was looking to see what is this lady doing. So I ended up, and I believe I shared this story with you guys, but I ended up getting a job or whatever, and I ended up staying with that job for a while, and we ended up moving when my son was a couple months, just he and I, because I was always used to being on my own. But was back with my mom, and I had him before I was even pregnant with him a little bit, like a little bit before, but then a little bit after we had just moved, and I always was just used to being on my own. So always it was me keeping him, watching him. Then when I started working, it was his grandmas would keep him, like people that we trust, because I've gone through a lot being younger. So you got to be mindful of who watch your kids and who keep them and who your kids is around, because I'm telling you, some people are very evil. So I'm guarded with who I let him be around, and really he's just with me, and and if he's not with me, he'd be with dad and dad family or my family, but we really don't let him go out like that unless we're there with him. But just to go be standing the night at people's house, no, we're not into that. So and it's not now, maybe when he get older, but at this time, no. So things that I went through when I was younger, which I'm thankful for my grandparents and my mom. You guys know my dad was incarcerated for over 20 something years. And he was there when he could be before he got locked up. But I'm thankful for my mom, especially my grandparents, because those are who really raised me. It was my grandma, bit mom, and my granddad. So a lot of what I see how the enemy's trying to come in when I was younger. I see I know now that I'm older and in the spirit what to bind and rebuke to not come against my son or my future children, etc., etc., or even my nieces and nephews, things like that. So we were used to him. After all that, I had to talk with his dad, and I was like, I want him to go to daycare, because even though the grandparents and stuff was saying it wasn't a problem, but they had other stuff they had to do too, and they were older too. So I'm like, no, I prefer it better if he be in a daycare. Plus, it'll be better for him to be like around other children and things like that. Because I was teaching him and they were teaching him, but I just want him in a daycare. Not, he didn't go too early, but he did go like before he was one or whatever. He go before he was one. Yeah, he went like a little bit before he turned one. So that was a good for me. I didn't want him to go like at 3 weeks or 6 weeks or a month. I was like, no, but like he went before he was one. Like he crawling at this time and he's starting to walk and stuff. So I was like, this is a good time for me. So I had to talk with his dad, and I was like, I want him to go to daycare. This one I was still working. I was like, I want him to go to daycare. I'm telling you guys all this for a reason. I believe I shared this. I'll just share just a few testimonies. And I felt led to share this one as well. So, for you that haven't heard it. So I had to talk with his dad, because at this time what it was like, I was me and Justice was living together, and me and his dad was still co-parent. This is when I had my townhouse, but I went through so much there too. But anyway, God provided, and before he moved me again to the last apartment that I was at, which was everything I prayed for. But I had to take some faith steps and actual physical steps, But anyway, he provided for us to move, and I was able to work. So I was working. This when I was still in school, and I was in school full time and working full time, and I had to juggle. Plus, I had my son, and so we both shared him throughout the week as far as like the living arrangements, and I had enough like to pay my rent, my bills, my utilities. I didn't have a car at the time, so I didn't have to worry about gas or car insurance and all that. And I just pretty much caught Uber and Lyft. I walked, I caught the bus, the train, whatever I had to do. I caught rides, whatever I had to do. But I always like had enough for put aside, because I was good with budgeting, and I still am in my bills. I'm very responsible with bills, very responsible with bills. So I put enough aside for like, okay, this is for travel, this is for rent, this is for my internet for school, this is for cable, this is for Justice Daycare, this is for groceries, this is for this is for that. And I also made sure that I paid my tithes and offerings. That's one thing about me, guys. I'm big into giving. Whatever God lead me to give, I do my best to give financially. Even when I wasn't saved, I used to give my tithes to my grandma. I used to be out clubbing and partying, but I used to be like, Grandma, put this in the collection part at church. I was just on my heart to give. I used to be giving like around people that I was with, but it's just I was in the wrong side of the kingdom, but I still had a heart to give. So I was like, put this in the collection. I used to tell her like, put this in the collection part, because I was working full time. I always had a job. I was working full time, and I would give her my tithes. And like I'll be watching Bible stories and stuff and Bible channels on TV, even when I wasn't saved. And it's like God was drawing me with all that. And now, like, they'll have a donations, you can mail in, or you can pay over the phone, you can pay online. I'll be mailing them donations and blessings and stuff like that. So God always had in me to be a giver. So I was always big on giving. If it's my time, if it's my smile, my encouragement, my prayers, my devotionals, physical, tangible seeds, blessing people with grocery, uh, sowing seed into people, whatever. Not telling you guys that, because when you give, you don't let your left hand know what your right hand. That's between you and God, and that person. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so that's between that, and it's to God be the glory. But with this situation with Justice, his I'm telling you guys all this for a reason. And then we're going to get into Bible reading and things like that. I'm just sharing a little bit more testimonies of God. I have a lot, but I don't feel led to do all that. Now we're going to do another separate video just full of testimonies with you guys. I'm going to have to write them down so I don't really forget, and I'll do that. I don't know when, but I'm going to try to do that video soon. Okay. So, with this one, me and his dad was looking, like, when I would go on lunch break, I would just check out different schools and call around, like, what's, because certain times certain schools are not open to accept new I don't want to say students, because he was a baby, but accept new people inside their school. And I wanted him to go to a good school. Like, I didn't want him at no ghetto ratchet school. No offense, but I didn't. I wanted the best for him. Because I had my experiences with that already, so I don't want to go through that again. I work hard for my money. I got my son. I want him in the best possible environment. I don't want to go through that again. I didn't. So I was like, no, because I had knew of people where their kids was going to certain schools, and it was like, I'm not sending my son to this school. I don't want him exposed to this type of environment with these spirits. And not saying anybody is perfect, but you just know, like, God will tell you like a big no, 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 no. So I ended up, it came down to like 10 schools. Then I think 6 of them said they couldn't take them at the time. But I called like over 40 schools. I was calling in Boynton. I was calling in Delray. I was calling in Lake Worth. I was just calling in different places. Like, and like half of them was just like a list that was just like, no, some of them wrong. Some of them never called us back. So I was like, we just not accepting. Some of them like, we're accepting, but after this time. And I was like, that's months that I kind of want him in now or whatever. So it got down to a certain amount of schools, and then it was like 2 or 3 schools that we really, really liked that would accept him. That would have been perfect. And then one of them was a little pricey, but I thought it was great because of all the good activities that they would be doing with him. And like, I heard a lot of people speak well about this school, you know. But then I also heard a lot of people speak not so good about this school. But I was like, well, it's kind of in the middle because that may be their bad experience, but it won't be my bad experience. But it actually ended up did being a bad experience. But his teacher that he had was like really good for him and stuff. So me and his dad had an arrangement of 2 weeks he pays and 2 weeks I pay. And my son's fee was over 200 something a week. Um, we didn't receive help from the government with this one at this time. It came like down years later. Because I'm telling you guys, I was crying. I was believing God. It came years later as well with that. But in the beginning, it was just like we didn't really have the help. So I'm trying to speed this up because I want to do Bible study with this as well. And I was going to split up the videos, but God told me to combine them. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I told y'all earlier it's going to be a longer one. So basically it was two something. I think it was like 220 or more a week, guys, a week for full time with him. And I would take him in the morning, like I'll catch the bus down because it was in the same city where I live. I wasn't back in Boynton yet where I'm from. I was in Delray. I was living in Delray because I was in working in Boca. So if I catch the bus, I'm like 10 minutes away from my job. And then the shuttle will take me from the train station to my job. So it was like, even though I had to like move around a lot as far as travel, I still had travel. I just had to be on the right schedule or whatever. So it worked out perfect because it was better than me being back in my city where I'm from and trying to catch it would be a little bit longer to get there. Not too longer, but it would have been a little bit longer. So anyway, what was happening was I would get 2 weeks and Dad would get 2 weeks. And I'm a person, I'm big on receipts. I'm big on record. I'm big on all that stuff. Nobody's not going to come and try to pull a wool over my eyes. No, because I have records and I document everything. So I would keep records of when I would pay. I would keep records of when Dad would pay. Dad didn't give me his receipts because Dad need his receipts too. But I would just keep a record and mentally write, okay, this is Dad week. Dad paid this for these 2 weeks. And we will pay 2 weeks up front. So for this 2 weeks, here's that. So I would take out certain, so and I would go based like off my check. I'm telling y'all all this for a reason. I would go based off my check when I get paid. When I get paid, okay, for this pay period, because I would get paid every 2 weeks. This pay period, this is gonna be half for rent, this is gonna be this utility, this is gonna be for Justice Daycare. This half, this is gonna be for this is gonna be for that, da da da. And that's how I just did it, and I just stuck with that for a while. So what the school ended up doing, because he stayed there for some months, what the school ended up doing was the manager, she ended up pocketing my money when Dad paid, and she would not tell me or Dad when we paid. So she'll be like, oh, she didn't pay this week. Isn't it your week? I had already paid. So they taking that money and not applying it to my son credit, and they're pocketing that money. And this was the bad things that I started hearing about them. But in the beginning, I didn't hear this about them. I was just hearing like, oh, you shouldn't take your son to this school. And I was like, why? And it was like, it's just not a good school. But then some people was like, no, it's a great school. So I was kind of in the middle, like, you know, but they started pocketing the money. And then I ended up, my son, like when they're younger and like their body and like fever and flu, I don't claim any of that, but like when they're younger and they like his teeth were starting to grow and stuff, they go through those things physically. So I ended up taking him to the hospital, the ER, even though they just was going to tell me to give him Tylenol. But I was one of the moms. I was like, when I first had him all over, but the older he got, I was like, he okay. I'll give him medicine or God show me what to do or just pray or it's just a natural thing. But everything is not always so overly spiritual. You know what I mean? So they was gonna give me Tylenol for anyway, but then that's a bill or whatever. I didn't find this part about the stealing thing with the money that another happened to another parent. She was a nurse that worked there. and Justice had on his little school thing, and she was like, he goes to this school. I won't say the school. She was like, he goes to this school, and I was like, yeah. She was like, I had a really bad experience with this. With her child with the school, and a friend of hers, same thing with pocketing the money and not giving credit. And another thing that ended up happening, his teacher, I believe she was Jewish. She was so sweet, and he was like one of her favorite kids, guys, out of all the little babies that was in there. And it was multicultural, in that school or whatever. So she was like, she just kept telling me like she think Justice needs to go to another school. So I was like, why, Miss H? I just call her Miss H. And she's like, because I'm getting ready to leave here. She was like, there's a lot of things going on here that I don't like, that the parents don't know about, that the staff is trying to make you seem like they're so this and that, but behind the scenes, it's not like that. And then it was one morning when I was bringing just school, I brought him to school 15 minutes earlier. The Lord told me to go a little bit early that morning. I didn't know why. I thought it was just because so we can get a good spot on the bus so I can get in and out. But it was a thing. It was like things flying in, like the bugs. They kept the door open, and you're supposed to keep the door closed, and you ring the bell or you put in the code or whatever. So it's like almost this is gonna be a long one, guys. I might have to do a part two with this. I'm not sure. So the bus were going in, and it was another little baby by him. I'm just saying it was like a Caucasian baby. I love all races. I love all races. I'm telling y'all this for a reason. It was a Caucasian baby. The baby really can't talk like that, because they're like less than one, so they just know how to say little words. I was noticing that the little baby had like little red bumps on. I'm saying all this for a reason. The little baby had little red bumps on him, and I like saw his parents in the morning. So I always say hi, or whoever parents I see, like just hi. We all coming in. Our kids go here, and I was very bothered by those little red bumps on the baby, because obviously something is biting the baby. So I said to not Miss H, the other little staff girl that worked there. I said to her, this is back in 2016, guys, so this is a while ago. When my son was like, he wasn't one yet because he was born July 2015. So this is like, he's not a year yet, but he's almost a year. This is like the next year. So I said to the other little staff girl, because they got to put up their milk, like we have to bring their milk and all their stuff, and they supply certain things there. But like my son was on a certain milk from when he was born too. So all that stuff, like you have to give them like the lunchbox thing or the little baby bag. I was bothered by the little bumps on the baby because the baby can't say anything. And like if that was my baby, I would have took offense because it's like the little baby's just sitting there, and it can't really scratch or do nothing. And I could tell that the little baby didn't have those bumps coming in, so. And that's one thing I do. I always search my son. I've been doing this since he was born. Search him. Do he have any marks? I always talk to him. I always try to talk to him and tell him things, and always listen to him. So you can tell me anything. Don't let anybody hurt you, harm you, stuff like I don't play that. So I was bothered. So I said to the lady, the little staff girl, I was like, this little baby has bumps on him. Remember I told you they had the door open and stuff is flying in. This is stuff that's biting the baby. Then you know what they were doing? They're calling the parents saying, oh, your child have a fever. Your child got a flu. You got to come pick them up, and you're not getting no credit or no refund. I remember there were times I used to be at work, and where I was working, I was on the phone, and I had like a lot of calls coming in and going out, and I was like a busy job. I hated that job, but God, taught me a lot with that job and all my jobs. I didn't hate all of them, but this one specifically, I went through a lot with that, but I stuck it out through God's grace until he told me it was time to dip, and I dipped when it was time. But so what they were doing, like they would be calling me like 3 and 4 times out the week to leave work early, guys, when I already paid. They don't give you no credit. And it'll be things like nothing is really wrong with him. Like if he just spit up a little bit on his bib or any little thing like that, they'll call me, oh, he's sick. And then I get him. He don't be sick. He be fine. And other parents were telling me like they were doing that too. So I'm like, this is so crazy. So all this stuff with this school, but I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm like, but then like stuff just start adding up. I was like, So I said to the girl, I said, y'all have that door open, and I saw a few things come in. I said, don't that bit that baby. So she was like, oh no, that's been like that. And I'm like, I don't believe that's been like that, but I left it like that because Miss H had looked at me like, Rakera, even though you're telling the truth, like don't just leave it alone. So then the parent had came and confronted because they were noticing that the bumps. They were like, okay, I'm dropping my child to school, and I know my child because you got to lotion your child, you got to bathe your child, put your child on clothes and stuff. You know your child, like it's in your child body. And probably not all the time, but if you're an active, aware parent, you know what was on your child when you dropped them to school and what's not on your child. So the other staff lady, no, the other staff lady gave it to the main lady who's over it, who was the crook. Well, who was the crook at this time? I pray that she, got herself together or whatever, because a lot of people had left that school. So she had gave it to her, and then she was trying to persuade them, the parent, that no, that was on your child. But that little baby parents, because he had his mom and dad, but most like his dad will bring him and mom will bring him sometimes, like they'll switch. And they were like, no, this wasn't on him. This looks like a mosquito bite, or this looks like that. And I told y'all the door was open and things were fine, because things were following me when I was going to die. You could just see them flying around. They had the doors open, and then they had the doors open in the section with infants. Then you got this age, and stuff would just fly all around. So that's how the baby was getting bit. And then because you don't want to deal with the scratching and all that, then you're going to say, oh, the child's sick, come pick him up, and don't give people back their credit. Like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So that was that. And it was just a lot. It was a lot. But anyway, they never credited us back the money. I confronted the other lady about it, because I'm going to go to I want the top dog. I don't want to play with nobody on the low level, because I don't want people thinking that I'm crazy or that I'm foolish because I don't play that. So I took her all the records, because eventually me and Dad had to talk about this. I said, they've been pocketing the money. I said, on weeks that you paid, they'll say you owe a week, or you owe this, and then I'll be like, well, that's not like him, but I'll make up for it. And they'll play the same thing like with him. So they were pocketing money. And plus I have all the receipts. I have all, well, how did my son do today? Did he take a poop? Did he urinate? When did he eat his bottle? When did he have playtime? I have all these things. You know what I did? I took it to her, and I took all the receipts, and even receipts she didn't think I had that I was calculating with Dad. And when I showed her, she looked very embarrassed. And I told her, I said, I'm gonna take him out of the school. I think she thought that I was gonna like try to file something against them. I wanted to, but it's like my spirit was just like, just leave it alone, let me deal with them. So that was the situation with that. But he ended up going to homeschool. He homeschooled, but it's a school, it's a daycare, but it's in the home, but it's licensed or whatever. He ended up going to one for like a month. That one, and then his teacher had left. We were so sad that his teacher was leaving. She was going to another school, and she was telling me, Rakira, you need to go to this school, but that would have been too much. I think that school would have been like $400 or $500 a month, and that $220 a week was already a lot on us, footing it, splitting it up. That $220 a week was already a lot on us. So to try to do 4 or 5, that would have been way too much. I was like, I can't afford that school. And it was like a Christian school. That would have been perfect for him, but I just couldn't go. But she had left him a thank you card and all that stuff. So anyway, he went to the other home daycare. I liked it, the home daycare lady. It just was a situation where I think she had too many kids at one time. And she was doing that business for a long time. I think over like 30 something years. One of my grandfathers actually referred her to me, because that was his neighbor. So he was like, oh no, she good people. But I just feel like she had too many kids at one time. And my son, like when we pick him up, some days he'll be okay and some days he'll be zoned out. So I think and then she had different groups of children, and she didn't have a lot of staff, so it probably would have been a lot. And I feel like she was like just sitting him there more than he's supposed to have sat in his seat, and like his mobile skills and social skills, so he probably was feeling like days out. I think she was like playing with him and teaching him, but I didn't really like that. And then his dad and grandma was like, I think they need to move him out of the school. And I was like, why? He just got in the school. Because me, I don't like moving too much if I don't have to. If something works for me, I want it to stick. And I try to get along with all his teachers and stuff. So then that we end up moving him out after that. But me and her didn't end on the bad note. Then he ended up going to someone that they knew, which was great. But we ended up moving him out because he got accepted into an actual school. This is gonna be a long video, guys. But he ended up getting accepted into an actual school, like another school like the one he went to, but this is more Christian based, and these are more people that I'm more comfortable with him being around, which I was comfortable with the first one because they were so shysty with a smile behind their back. They just was in it for that money, and I'm not into that. So this one we got help with signing him up with this. We got help because he did a thing where the tutor would come to his house. It was a part of like a program thing where we'll only pay so much out. And then that was an answered prayer, because we were like paying out so much, and then it even went down from the two something to like one 150, 160, 170. So that was good, because anything off is a blessing. Like that other money could go towards other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because milk was expensive, things were expensive. Certain things I was getting help with, and certain things as far as like government help, and a lot of things I wasn't. You know, they had cut a lot of my stuff. So it was like I really had to believe God. You know what I'm saying? So he stayed at that school, and I love that school, and plus the school that he just was at, but the coronavirus. So those are the two that I really, really love. So he stayed at this school for like a year and, hold on, December, January, February. He stayed at this school for a year and 3 months. He stayed at this particular school, the Christian Academy School. I was good with the principal, the person that founded the school. I was good with his teachers. He was with one teacher when he was one age, and he was with another teacher when he was another age. So it was so much good growth and transition. It was a Christian-based school. Um, it was a blessing, and I had ended up still was working in Boca, but I wasn't at the same job. I was still working in Boca, whatever, and I had already moved, but even though the drive was still it still was good because he was in school. The thing that stopped was that school was they didn't renew my voucher for him. Like the tutor had came for a whole year. That was a part of the program. Once or twice a week, the tutor has to come and read with him for like 30 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes or whatever. Excuse me, we have a certificate or whatever. She read with him and stuff like that. This was a while ago, guys. This is going back a couple of years. And he got a certificate, and they helped him with his reading and stuff, and then he was in school too. And it was a lot of great things. We had no problems with this school. Plus we were getting help and blessed. So that was a big help to us for all them years that, you know what I'm saying? So they didn't renew my voucher with this, and I went through so much for so many months with it. It was to the point where my son was out of school for 6 months because of the government people. And it wasn't just me. They were doing it to a lot of people that was providing the documentation. I was providing, that I was working. I was providing I was in school. My mom was done with school. I was providing all the stuff. And they were like, no, we're not going to renew you. You got to come here. I went there for appointment. I called. It was a long story, guys. And I say I was so stressed during this time, but I still was doing YouTube videos. I still was doing what God was telling me to do, but I was dealing with so much personally, and I was dealing with all this because I'm like, Lord, I'm doing everything. And I had already heard stories about these people. Like if a person have to go to work and you have to go to work, they'll call you the same morning and say, if you don't be here by such and such amount of time, you're going to lose your benefits. This type of stuff I'm talking about. The same day. Like they won't always. And then I was keeping records of who I was speaking with. And then one person telling me one thing, and then another person telling me another thing. And then I get down there and they're like, okay, you got to write this letter. You got to provide all this. I had email screenshots. I had phone recordings. Voicemails, who I spoke to, what we spoke about. I had all that stuff, and I presented to them. They still denied my thing for him to renew to go to the school. But you know what God ended up doing? Even though my son was out of school for like 6 months, and it was a lot because I was mostly had him like them 6 months. Like his grandma had him too, and his dad, but dad mostly was working. But it was a lot because I was like still have to do homework in school and like how I'm doing now. But it was like that, but it was just more, because I was like, God, we went through so much to get to this, and that's just how it could be taken away. And God just telling me like, just trust him through all this. Like everything's gonna work together for the good. He was like, I know it's wrong what they did, but it's okay. And the school had ended up blessing him to be able to stay there another couple months or whatever, but it was nothing they could do. And like the staff lady told me, she was like, it's not just you or Kara. She was like, it's like other parents that's going through the same thing that they're doing this too. She was like, it's so wrong and messed up how they do this to some of you. She was like, but that's just the way they system is. She was like, they've always been like this, so I was like, God's gonna deal with them. And what they end up having to do when my son turned 4, they end up having to give us them benefits for free. Well, we didn't pay nothing to this new school, so we didn't pay nothing for him to go to school. I was just in school, almost finished with school, and this is the same school he's in right now. So God worked it out, even though it was a lot I had to submit and document and go to a lot of meetings and turn in a lot of things and just show up and be there and stuff. That was fine because the same way that they try to take all that stuff away from me and be nasty to me, it got to the point where that same government agency. Sorry guys, that had went out. This is probably I'm gonna do part two. I'm gonna do a part two. I'm gonna do faith walk and testimony. I think I'm gonna do I'm gonna have to do 2 videos, guys. I'm not sure if I'm probably gonna do Bible study. I'm probably gonna do Bible study because I didn't know it's gonna be this long. I'm gonna just do testimony video with one and faith walk and Bible study in one. It's gonna do that. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to do it like that. So guys, because I know it's gonna be this long, but God is telling me to just share. So they end up having to give it to us for free. Well, we don't have to pay nothing per week, and he got free lunch, he got free going to school. It was part-time where 7:30 only to like 2:15, but that's better than nothing because during that time I'm able to go do what I need to do, and I was able to get homework out the way, the kids, my son, like working on the book and just different things. I just wasn't sitting at home like being lazy, not doing nothing. Like, no, I was very thankful. And also, you guys know I was helping his teacher a lot too. Like, I was helping her with classrooms. We had to like show up parent teacher meetings. They had certain meetings you have to show up in the 10 because it's part of the thing. Hold on one second, guys. Yeah, sorry guys. I would help his teacher. I would like help her organize her classroom. I would help her with the students. I would just be there and help a lot. So I helped out a lot, like a lot of the staff knew me. I helped a lot of the other teachers as well. So it was a blessing all around, and be able to minister to them and stuff like that. So it was a blessing all around. And that's the same school he's at now, this school. He has learned so much and grew so much. And I really like this school for him. And I didn't even want him to leave the other school, but God even has something, better. We didn't have to pay. We've met more people. It's bigger. They do more with them because that school, he would end up having to leave that school anyway because it starts at a certain age. This school is perfect because it doesn't really stop. Like, he can do pre-K, kindergarten, he can do middle school, he can do high school. It's like, and it's all the same school, but it's broken up in different sections. So it's like, it's perfect, and his teachers and I get along great. It's been a blessing all around for him. So when I just look back and think back to all that stuff, it's like God always, each season, made sure that it worked out and he was okay. So I thank God for that. And I did a vlog with you guys that he's going to kindergarten. I'm so excited. I showed you guys the cupcakes, and me and him had some cupcakes. I had like 3. I had like 3 cupcakes. Y'all are 4. It was so good. And he had like 2 or 3. I know, just be quiet. And I don't know how many Dad had and Grandma. But yeah, he had some cupcakes. So his birthday is coming up the 14th, God's will, of next month, July, which will be here shortly in a couple weeks. So we're going to do a little mini party for him. I'm going to cook up a lot. Usually we take him somewhere for his birthday, or we'll do something for each birthday. I already shared with you guys what we've done for each of his birthday, but because of this virus, we just going to have to get creative. Even like with my exercising, I've been having to get creative in the house. God been showing me new routines and what to do. I don't do it every day, just a couple times out the week to move my body. One day I was just walking around the living room table, going between the living room and the kitchen and the bathroom and walking off for 20 minutes power walk, and I felt so good. Hold on, guys. Sorry, guys. All right, so yeah, so I felt so good, and just like my other little stuff I be doing that I've been doing for years, even when I was in the house. So, but yeah, God is good. That's one testimony. And he's going to kindergarten, so we're gonna do a little party for him. Not much, cause the virus and stuff, but just cook like a couple gifts, maybe 1 or 2 gifts, cook cupcakes, cake. I'm gonna cook. Usually Dad cook or we order something, but usually Dad cook on the grill. But I'm gonna say if you want to cook on the grill, but most I think I'm just gonna cook this year. And we're gonna get him some cakes and cupcakes, ice cream, little gift, balloons, and just play some dance music and let him have a good time. So that's probably what he's gonna do. It's just at the house for his birthday this year or whatever. So God is faithful, and even when he goes to the next level, we won't have to pay for that either. So God is so good. So that was one testimony, praise report that I can give you guys. And like I said, I have so many, but we're gonna do that in another video. I'm just gonna give you guys a few more, then we're gonna do Bible study, then I'm gonna stop. We're gonna do Bible study. I'm combining Bible study video because I was gonna do Bible study in that other video, but God ended up shifting me with the testimony. So I'm gonna have to upload them, like put them together in the app thing. So you guys will get 2 videos from me today. So another testimony, another car testimony, God blessed me with the belt that I needed. This was just last week. It was a situation with my car because the belt was old anyway. I didn't know how old it was because you guys know I just got this car last year February. I had my green Toyota before this one, and he God blessed me with this one supernaturally, literally. He blessed me with it. I didn't even ask. He blessed me with it, and I didn't have to pay anything. And he blessed me with it because I was faithful with my other car, and also for all the years that I was just faithful and I didn't have a car, and I still was like, I didn't complain, and all that stuff. So I just thank God. And he blessed me with a belt. I did a lot of testimony videos on here with you guys. What God has blessed me with: groceries, paid things, supernatural things. Blessed me on the trip. A favor, I didn't have to pay anything. Favor with the car, favor with my brakes, favor with my battery. With this same car, I've opened my diploma with me. There's different things God has done. I've showed you guys that. I even did the car testimony of the new car and my old car. So that's on that playlist. I think that's on 2019 playlist. Yeah. So yeah, guys. So he blessed me with a new belt last week. He blessed me with that to be able to put it in. Well, I didn't put it in, but get a new one and put it in so I don't have to think about that. Um, Financially, he's been providing. I've been sowing a lot of seed, guys, even during this coronavirus. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a big giver, but the Lord told me earlier with this virus, he kept giving me Isaac. Isaac sowed in the land and reaped the harvest that same year. And I don't give to reap a harvest. I give just because I like giving and I like to help people when I can help people. And God always send people to bless and help me too. Like, so why not return the blessing back to him what belong to him? And plus it just make me happy to just bless people. Like there's a lot of you guys, even my personal life and some of you on here that the Lord lead me to bless that. I don't have to broadcast that because that's not why I'm doing it. Because if you're doing that, that's your reward. I don't like doing that. That's between us and God is getting the glory. And God always makes sure I'm okay. So he told me, he was like, you're going to even sow even more. And I was like, okay, God, I'm down, because I always been with that. But I didn't know he was going to have me be sowing on this level. And I've been sowing, guys, more and more. And I've been seeing so much favor in my life, guys. God always come through. Not when I want him to, but he always comes through and he always make a way. And it's just the beginning. So that is a blessing. Another praise report testimony. God has blessed me to continue to be strengthened in him and focus on him. Like I said, guys, I've gone through so much that I don't really share with you guys. When the time is right, I will, but God has been keeping me over these years, and especially from the beginning of this year to now. I was dealing with a certain situation, guys, relationship wise, and God healed me. He rescued me. He blessed me. He comforted me. He reminded me of his promises for my life. He gave me the strength and grace to move on and continue going forward in him and to be just in my love with him on another level already. So God has just done some amazing things. I'm thankful for the blessings over my son, over my life, my family. My uncle passed 2 weeks ago. I didn't share that with you guys, but I had an uncle that passed 2 weeks ago. God has been giving strength to the family. I've been keeping them lifted. Um, God is just so faithful. I'm thankful when he give me strength and grace to be able to be a mom and do laundry and groceries and do this channel and the devotionals and just everything we're doing, and I'm just so thankful for all the blessings that, God is doing. So I'm going to stop this, guys. I'm definitely going to stop this now. Those are just some of them. It's more, but like I said, and I just thank God for what he's doing in y'all life. I thank him. Um, to God be the glory. God bless.